a byproduct of my upbringing, that being having to juggle school and my professional life, has led me now in my adulthood to believe that being productive means to give yourself no space to rest, no room to rest. I'm working on that right now. One of my 2026 resolution is to understand that.
Right? Just like, I gotta sleep, guys. Right? Willkommen, meine What is up, Indonesia Freund. Heute, I'm trying my best German. That was the worst.
I did not expect that.
It's okay, but I like it.
Sorry, Weeboos. I tried to make my German intro and I failed. Why did I do a German intro? Because you have a very special half German guest, right?
You're right.
Andovi's like, oh my gosh.
Don't let my accent fool you. I am not half American.
There you go. Please welcome to the podcast, to the What is Up Indonesia podcast, Cinta Laura! Yay!
So before we started, I insisted on starting the podcast because I have a question for Andovi that may be very dad joke-y, but I'm wondering, your place is called Mad for Coffee. Who are you mad at?
Actually, listen, I did not come up with the name.
Okay.
So it was my partner that you saw before, Refo. I'm just the investor, to be honest. So I didn't. So nothing I did.
But did you when you see the name?
Oh, sorry.
No.
You first.
I was just like, but when you see the name, do you agree with the name?
Yeah, because it's like Mad for Coffee.
I thought it was inspired by your voice because you have such conviction and like you have this raspy, coarse voice.
Wow.
So it's like mad for coffee.
No, it was just my partner said it. I was like, okay, I like the name.
No, actually, Andovi is always mad.
Yeah, I'm always mad.
He's always angry.
Which is, I'm mad at the public, but I'm never mad privately. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah?
I'm never mad like.
Are you sure you're not mad at me?
No, I'm
because you still haven't invited me to a basketball game.
Okay. Wow. It's a lot of. All right, let's start the podcast, guys. Weeboos, quick break from the wonderful Cinta Laura. We're gonna talk to you about our episode sponsor, Tap Send.
Yeah, so a lot of our audience who are maybe currently watching lives abroad or is studying abroad. And if you ever tried sending money home to Indonesia, some of you might experience some of the hassle. I remember when I was studying in the US and I tried to send money home, there are some delays, fees, and everything. And so this episode sponsor can probably solve that issue. Yeah.
Now, Tap Send is an authorized and regulated payment system and an app that is currently available in the UK, EU, US, UAE, Australia, and Canada. So you can download it if you're in those countries.
And send money
to Asia, Indonesia, and Africa. Now, it has a zero transfer fee, a competitive exchange rate, and 90% of the transfer done within 5 minutes.
Yeah, so fun fact, Andovi, I actually asked my friend who are in the US to use Tap Send to send money to me to see how like the experience goes. And it actually went through like really seamlessly.
And how much did he send you? No, so, if you're a first-time user and if you're a Weeboo or What is Up Indonesia watcher, there's a code just for you, okay? Use code TAP Indonesia for a current promotion. Only for you Weeboos living abroad.
And as an illustration, right, you as the receiver will be the one to get these bonuses. So for example, when someone sends you $50 using Tap Indonesia code for your first transaction, you will get a total of $70 actually.
Oh wow.
So $20 extra. So that's a lot. That's
a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. That you can use that to grab a decent meal here in Indonesia or anything. So do use that if you have a need to like send money back home.
And Weeboos abroad, if you want to send money to help us, What is Up Indonesia, here's the link. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding.
So use Tap Send.
Yeah, thank you. Hope this helps. Let's go back to our podcast. Is there something going on?
No, because I promised her I would invite her to a basketball
and you didn't.
game. I never.
Wow.
Because I don't know.
Why?
I haven't played basketball in a long time. Like it was like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So you should like invite her now.
And the invite was 2 years and 8 months ago. 2 years and 8 months. I'm very specific.
You know, Andovi is like terrible at replying.
I'm very bad with
A lot
replying.
of people came up to me and they're like, hey, Abby, can you like ask Andovi if he's mad at me? Like maybe because he never replied to my text. And I was like, I'm pretty sure Andovi is not mad at you. He just sucks at like remembering and replying.
I'm very un-German like that. So the reason why I'm speaking about this German thing, one of the things that maybe people don't know, maybe people in the industry know, but maybe people don't know in general.
Yeah.
In an in a country where everyone's late, in an industry where everybody's late, Cinta Laura is never late. That's crazy, guys. I don't think you guys. People think, so what? No. I don't. I have friends who go late by shooting for 3 hours. Terima kasih banyak. I have people who are late for hours.
Yeah, that's true.
And Cinta is like notoriously known. Like, if you shoot with her, don't come late. So is that the German side of you? Is it your upbringing? Is it just you in general? Like,
I think it's all of the above. I was definitely raised by a father who has always been very strict throughout my life. And he, to this day, lives in that manner. I can tell you exactly what he's doing right now because he does the same thing every day within the same hour. So like his life is very regimented. And I guess, given the fact that I'm raised by a man like him, it's caused me to be that way. But of course, now that I'm older, in an industry where most people are not punctual, I've learned to adjust, although it still does frustrate me. But I think the biggest reason as to why I'm always on time is because I really respect other people's time.
right.
Yeah.
So I would expect such respect towards my time as well. Of course, I'm not saying that those who have been late before upon meeting me don't care about me or disrespect me. Perhaps they're just raised that way. But I think I wouldn't want to do to others what I don't want others to do to me.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always on time. And also I like to schedule my day. I like my day to be productive. I like my days to be productive. So, I know exactly what I'm doing after this podcast. I know exactly what I'm doing after that.
Yep.
And like everything has just been scheduled in a way so that I can cater to not only what I need to do professionally, but also what other people demand of me.
Yeah. And I think, Cinta is very time oriented, right? Whereas the majority of Indonesian, I feel like, are very go with the flow. Yeah. They don't necessarily have like, all right, I'm going to do this hour and I'm going to do this and then this and then this and this.
Can I say though, I acknowledge that I still have so much room for growth. There are a lot of things that I still need to learn and improve upon. But I think the reason why I've been able to survive in this industry for the last 19 years
That's crazy, guys.
Yeah, that's crazy.
is because of my work ethic.
Crazy.
People know that when they hire me or correspond with me, they know what they get. They know they can rely on me.
Right.
So I think that's what's allowed me to survive this long in the industry. But with that being said, I do acknowledge that my way isn't always the right way. And that came obviously with maturity. So at this age, I truly believe that, sometimes people are tardy. It can be justified. And like, I am trying to loosen up because like, who wants to work with someone who's high strung? That's stressful for the other party too. So I am self-aware and realize that I just sometimes need to take a deep breath and understand that not everybody sees the world or moves through the world the way I do, and that's fine because, as I said, I'm not always right. Perhaps most of the time I may even be wrong. I don't know. So I'm just trying my best to do what works for me, but when other people are involved, I try to be mindful of the way they are.
Right. And one of the things that I really like you saying is that your work ethic. I'm assuming we're the same generation.
We're same age.
We're same age.
Generation.
Yeah, you're right. But like Cinta has been in this game since like, you're right, 19 years. Like right?
Yeah.
So and people, and not only to be in this game, but to still be sustainable and popping in this game. It's two different things.
Yeah.
People can be in this game and not be popping. Does that make sense?
Am I popping?
Yeah,
Thanks,
right.
You're one of like Indonesia's household name, I would say. And I remember the first time I watched you was when I was in, I think, middle school.
Same.
Was
Probably.
it?
I was in middle school.
It was in Cinderella.
Yeah.
I forgot what year that was, but it
2007.
was 2007.
19 years ago.
So that was like when you were just starting then.
That was my first gig ever.
Right. So, but then people will contribute that to many things, but you said work ethic. And I think that's what people don't understand. People think it's just, of course, luck goes into any career, but your work ethic has been your driving force, right?
I think so. I genuinely think so because look, as I said, I would like to believe that I'm self-aware. I know that I'm not the best actress, the best singer, the best at anything. But what I do know is that I'm very consistent. And when someone gives me a challenge, I'm going to do my best to go above and beyond. And I think that's how I've allowed for, I guess, high quality output in the things I do, especially in recent years. Not so much so when I was younger, because obviously when I was a teenager or a preteen, I had no control over my career. But I think people have seen a substantial change in the last 6 years since I've returned to Indonesia from the US. And that's because now that I'm an adult, I have authority over what I do. And so I'm very careful with how I conduct things, what projects I choose. And, the real me is finally surfacing.
Right.
And I think this is why I wanted to invite Cinta to our podcast, right?
I missed you!
Because we wanted to catch up.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like you represent a lot of our viewers, meaning that you navigate between more than one culture, just one culture.
Right.
Like you grew up, your father is German, right?
Yeah.
And so you have this Indonesian culture, but also German culture. And then you lived in the US also for a couple of years. You went to study abroad as well. And then you have a career here in Indonesia.
Yeah.
So it takes a certain level of cultural fluency, I would say, in switching and acknowledging that, okay, my way is not always correct. There are other ways that people conduct their lives. And I feel like a lot of our viewers who maybe spend a couple of times studying abroad and then coming back, they're experiencing a lot of culture shock or even reverse culture shock. Meaning like, why are things like this? You know, it should be like this, but it takes a certain level of maturity, like you said, to finally acknowledge like, it's not wrong. It's just different at times. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So I would say my upbringing is quite similar to Andovi's in that I lived in many different countries. My dad worked in the hotel industry. So most people who work in hospitality usually move every 2 to 3 years to different countries. So I've experienced living in Singapore, Malaysia, the Middle East, Germany, Indonesia, and then finally the US for college. But I guess the commonality between those countries is that I had always attended an international school, except when I was in Germany. In Germany, I was at a local school. That's how I picked up German, and I'm now still able to speak the language. But I always attended international schools, and they tended to be American-based. Hence the accent.
Yeah.
But you're right. Growing up in different countries really gave me the ability to adapt in different situations and different cultures, gave me the ability to appreciate differences in thinking and navigating life. And if anything, up until I was, I guess, maybe 19, 20, I thought it was normal to be amongst people of different nationalities. For me, being in a homogenous environment was something very bizarre and peculiar. To me, that wasn't normal in my reality.
Because of how you grew up, right?
Because of how I grew up. So when I started my career at the age of 12, it was the first time I had been introduced to a very homogenous environment. Because when you're on set, you have people... Maybe they might be from different cities or islands in Indonesia, but they're Indonesian essentially.
Right.
Going to either a private or a public school, coming from a culture very different to what I'm used to, even though I'm half Indonesian. And so when I moved to the US, actually, at the age of 17, I did not feel a culture shock at all. I felt like university was an extension of high school, especially given the fact that the American system allows for 4 years of studies for undergrad. But I did it in 3 because I'm German and I was organized and I was able to manage my schedule so that I allowed myself that extra 1 year buffer to just graduate early and move to LA.
Right.
So I finished in 3 years. At 20, I was done with my bachelor's. But yeah, what I experienced was the reverse culture shock, which is what you're talking about. When I came back in 2019, it was the first time that I'd ever lived in Indonesia as an adult.
I see.
Right? Because before that, I had only lived in Indonesia from the age of 11 to 17. And I was in an international school bubble.
Right.
Even though at work I was amongst locals. I was only at work after school until before bedtime. The rest of the day or during my leisure time, I'd be with friends from school.
Right. But you still have that exposure though that I feel like a lot of international kids who grew up in the international bubble here in Indonesia doesn't have, right? With your work in the sinetron industry back then, right?
So
in the movie industry.
Look, it's hard for me to remember what I was like exactly at the age of 12 to 17. But if I could look back, I think I was a very, very awkward teenager which is why a lot of things I did were misinterpreted by society. I didn't really know how to behave accordingly. And so I set clear boundaries between who I am at work and who I am outside of work. And I never really did anything within the industry or people in the industry outside of working hours. Gitu. So I was still very much blind.
Right.
You know, what's funny is my Indonesian didn't even become fluent until I moved back in 2019. It became fluent between 2019 to 2021 when I pushed myself to have my own podcast at the time called Bicara Cinta. And it was because of my strong desire to be able to talk about heavy issues or social issues in a way that could be understood by everyone. I didn't want to marginalize anyone. And there I pushed myself to learn Indonesian using Google Translate. So I picked up my vocabulary from Google Translate by writing English questions and turning them into Indonesian. And then I started seeing patterns of Indonesian syntax and grammar. And now, fast forward now almost 7 years later since I've moved back, I would say my Indonesian is very fluent.
Oh yeah, I think so. It's
thanks to Google Translate.
because back then there's no AI yet, right?
No. So
yeah.
Google Translate, AI, you know, AI makes a lot of mistakes.
It's true.
AI Indonesian is very strange.
You know, I wouldn't know because I almost never use AI in Indonesian, actually.
I would know, but no, AI Indonesian is strange unless you train your AI to speak like you. Let me, to answer your question in a nutshell, I used to be one of those third culture kids who believed, hey, I studied abroad. I'm exposed to different cultures. I know better. There are there are third culture kids like that feel like, hey, because I've had all this experience abroad, let me take this valuable experience and implement it to the country in which I'm from. But after working so closely now as an adult with people from different parts of Indonesia, different socioeconomic backgrounds, I realized that we don't know better. We might have the knowledge that can be valuable and maybe implemented to, you know, different causes and problems in this country, but we don't know better because at the end of the day, if you want people to not only hear you, but listen to what you have to say, you can't threaten their current beliefs. Because when you are perceived as a threat, then people will be averse to what you have to say.
Can you talk more about that? Like, can you give an example, for example?
Okay.
Because that's very interesting, I think.
Let me give you an example. Okay. As we know, many Indonesians are religious, right?
Okay.
For people like us, perhaps, you know, some of us believe, though, religion can teach a lot of good things. Sometimes you have to separate religion from science, from the way you live your life, from politics, and so on and so forth, right? Like that's probably the common thought process amongst us. But let's say you're talking to someone who is raised in a small town, who all they know is religious teachings. You can't say, oh, the way you think is wrong.
Yeah.
Because if you say the way you think is wrong, they'll be like, excuse me? How dare you? You don't know anything. You just don't like my belief system, or you just don't like where I'm from. Who are you to say that what I know and what I believe in is wrong?
Right.
So from that realization and that understanding, I'm like, you know what? As cheesy as this sounds, everything needs to be treated from a place of love, a place of compassion, and a place of empathy. When you're able to really get into the minds of these people and realize what they value, then you'll learn how to communicate certain ways of thinking, certain values that you want them to understand in a way that they can understand without threatening their belief system or the way they live their lives. And inilah kekurangan, or this is where a lot of third culture kids not crumble, so to speak, but this is what they lack. They lack the understanding that communication is so important. The way you communicate. It doesn't mean you have to change the way you think. You can continue to believe that A is correct, B is wrong. But if you want people to listen to you, you need to understand how they were raised, the way they view the world, and how to not preach, so to speak, but teach what you want them to learn and understand in a way that doesn't threaten them.
Do you feel the same way, Andovi? Like with your experience, do you experience this similar character arc? I would say with Cinta.
Yeah, when I went back India to WIUI, I felt I felt that people had to understand my way of living. Like even socially, like when I went back from India, I went to an international school as well. When I met girls, I hugged girls, right?
Okay.
And I remember people were like,
Right.
"What is this guy doing?" Kaya in WIUI, like ini orang modus banget. And that was my.
Because you were like just hugging
and
everyone.
I was just because in my international school you're like, "Hey, what's up?" And
yeah,
you know,
yeah. That was very.
but funnily,
it's platonic.
Right, it's platonic. But
Very
funnily
platonic.
enough, that became one of my most popping YouTube videos back in the day because I talked about modus. But again, I completely understand what Cinta means. Is like, you know, do we have the knowledge? Yes. But who are we to? Like, no, you're right. You're wrong. I'm right. That's I completely get what she's talking about.
Yeah, me too. Like, I also went to university abroad, and I was also in the international school bubble growing up, right? And for a long time, I also felt a bit misunderstood, and I feel like I have all this knowledge, and I feel like this can be very useful. But you're right; it's always the communication part, that making people understand part. Because what's important is contextualizing what we know into the current culture that we're trying to help, right?
You know, obviously coming from Western education background, we're taught to just speak our minds. We're taught to just say things as they are.
As it is, yeah. No,
Oh my
I think
God, you're
that's
absolutely-
But that's not how it works here.
No,
Because
it's
then you
not.
might come
Yes,
across as arrogant. You might come
There is
across
a
as a
puntan
know-it-all.
culture here.
Puntan
There is
culture,
a
yes, true.
puntan. No, you can't just. I remember Cinta, when I was in WIUI, I remember I raised my hand up after the class is over. And everyone just looked at me.
Because they're like, why does this dude want to stay longer?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in Western cultures, it's complete opposite.
I was
It's a complete.
I was that annoying girl in class. I would always raise my hands because I wanted to contribute, and I also wanted the teacher to notice me. I don't care what y'all think.
No, but you're right. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, and a lot of us, we think that, if I know something is wrong, I need to say it as it is, because, being truthful is important, and sometimes we value directness, but that is not always viewed the same way here, and sometimes it causes like a lot of miscommunication as well.
Yeah, and that miscommunication is so dangerous because especially in my industry, the gossip culture is very strong. I've
I feel like in
experienced
all industries. That
Yeah.
No, but in this industry,
maybe.
But I've experienced crazy things in my industry where for speaking up, that story had been twisted in the past to something super insane. Like, let me give you an example.
okay.
I'm very vocal now. I'm still vocal now, but now at least I know how to communicate it. But 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I wasn't at this point yet. And so, when things would rub me the wrong way, let's say during production, I would immediately go up to whoever's responsible, whoever the PIC is, and say, hey, look, like, I'm sorry, but this is unacceptable. It makes me uncomfortable because blah, blah, blah. And I'd, create a very strong argument. I'm not just like saying, no. Like I'm giving very solid reasons
which
as to
means
why I'm
somebody
upset.
has been saying that.
And then fast forward a few months or a few years later, this person is now my best friend, but she's a director. And she's like, Chin, can I ask you something? And I'm like, okay, sure. What? Is it true that once you were so upset on set that you kicked the trash bin?
Oh.
And I was like, huh? Yeah, someone said that you got so upset that you kicked the trash bin really hard and walked off set. And I was like, whoa. Like if someone has told you that I've lost my temper, perhaps, yes. But kicking the trash can in front of everyone and storming out, that does not sound like me whatsoever. And she's like, oh yeah, I thought so. Like, now that I know you, there's no way you could have done that. But there are rumors out there saying that's what you had done in the past. See how crazy people's words are here? Like your assertive nature and your bravery to speak up can lead people to really create twisted lies.
Wow.
I mean, like accusing accusing her on like literally kicking a trash bin. That's like a blatant lie.
Or maybe-
that's not even like a misunderstanding.
Hey,
right?
a lot of people believe it.
Or maybe the guy or girl who accused you, they didn't know it was a scene. Like, and action. And then Cinta's like, huh? Oh my gosh, she kicked that. It's a scene.
Yes,
No, that's crazy. And it is a privilege for men when they speak out. It's like, oh, whatever. with women, when you guys speak out, it's like, oh, you're being too assertive. So there's that difference as well, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're like, damn, I'm so sorry to hear that. And
It's fine.
it hurts because your friends believed you.
some
a
people-
director
some people-
who's now my friend.
Oh, okay, got it. And she's like, yeah.
I know she was unsure, but then she asked me, which
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for, and I told her the truth. But you know what I'm saying is, people can just create twisted lies because you're too forthcoming, so to speak.
So I have this question, maybe like for Cinta and for Andovi. I'm very curious. So we talked about how different culture creates different values, and sometimes it's not wrong, it's just different, right? But at the same time, sometimes it is wrong objectively. So how do you navigate or differentiate between, like, for example, you encounter a difference in culture or a conflict, and to a certain extent you understand that this is actually a difference in communication style. It's not really wrong objectively, but this part is actually wrong.
I think for me, objectively speaking, we're all born and raised with a certain set of principles that of course can evolve over time. But when I witness something in a different culture or in my own culture that I believe is unacceptable, it usually stems from something that goes against human rights or social rights. So like once it crosses over into that
line.
space, then like I don't care where you're from, I don't care how you communicate things. If it reaches that level of disrespect, then I'm gonna fight you till the end.
You're right. No, you're absolutely. For me, it's the same as Cinta, but like specifically with pejabat. I grew up 8 years in Scandinavia, where pejabat stands in line.
Yeah.
And
They don't get privileges.
They don't get zero privilege. When I see people, unless you're the president or the vice president,
Right, 'cause
no matter how much I dislike the vice president, and see, even when people know I dislike him, I still believe they have a certain privilege because they're the vice president and the president. But outside of that, my God, it boggles my mind that they get special treatment.
Now, some people might argue like that is a difference in culture, right?
No,
But
they're
for you,
public,
that-
they're
that's
public
the line.
servants, public servant.
You know why I agree with Andovi and it's not a difference in culture? Think about it this way. With the types of salaries and perks our government officials are receiving, or anybody in the corporate world, is what they're receiving justified? One, do they realize with the amount of money they're getting, how many people in underprivileged communities they can help? 3, do they understand and realize what problems we have in our country and what that money can do to mitigate those problems? So what they're doing just equates to greed. And I think greed is also wrong. And I think greed is a universal issue, regardless of language, culture, religion.
Yeah.
So
I think that goes to like the value of being responsible for what you have given, right? Because I think that in itself is also not like a given. Like some people don't have that sense of like, okay, I am given this authority and this privileges, I need to do something about it. I have this responsibility. That conscientiousness.
I recently read a book by Dr. Tony Fernando. It's called Life Hacks from the Buddha.
Okay.
And something that really resonated within that book was when he wrote, you cannot truly practice compassion until you comprehend suffering.
Okay.
And I think
Bars.
the reason why a lot of people in power cannot practice compassion or do not even have compassion is because they don't know what true suffering is. And I'm not saying all of us here should suddenly go outside and like torture ourselves. Understanding
No.
suffering doesn't mean that you have to do something crazy in your own life to comprehend it. But if you simply like touch grass, look around you, see the disparity between the rich and the poor, that alone can already give you an idea as to what kind of suffering and torment exists in the world. Or like in my case, not to toot my own horn, but something, people might be watching this and saying, Cinta Laura Keel, what do you know? You grew up privileged. I acknowledge that I grew up very comfortable, but I do a lot of social work outside of Jakarta. I go to very marginalized, isolated areas, whether that's in Papua or Maluku or NTT. I've seen true poverty, and like that's really opened my eyes to what a blessing, my life is, because the kind of misfortune people experience every day. It's unfathomable for many.
Yeah.
And including a lot of third culture kids who all they do is get to enjoy the perks of life, going to a very nice school, going to a nice mall, going abroad on holidays. Like, I definitely urge everyone to touch grass and, see what's truly out there, because the way we live, every single person in this room is not representative of what your everyday Indonesian experiences.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that you said touch grass, because the Weibo communities, the Weebos, one of the things like touch grass, right? Remember at the demonstrations, we were like, yo Weebos, touch grass, because we were like telling them to actually know what's happening. But What Is Up Indonesia has done an amazing job in actually trying to make these third culture kids and these internationally raised Indonesians to actually quote unquote touch grass.
Yeah.
But no, I have a very weird question. Very weird question. Do you think the internationally raised Indonesians or international kids now in this era are different than our era?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, this is an interesting topic. Okay, let's talk about this.
There's a context why I'm saying it. Okay. I feel that maybe because back when I was in high school, it was just Facebook, right? It was right. Maybe social media played the game a little bit differently.
Twitter udah ada juga sih.
Twitter udah, but
it was so different.
But I felt I don't know. There's this hinge that I feel like these international kids now, they're just different. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I just feel like they're not the same as our generation.
Like how different? Like just one example.
Okay. This might sound very weird, and Weeboos don't judge me, okay? Because I'm judging you. I feel because the internet culture is now so homogenous, it's so a teenager in America can learn something with teenagers in Indonesia, right? Because you consume the same content, different so and so, whatever. But I feel like internationally raised Indonesians in our generation, not all, but some, they do tend to touch grass more because the content we consume also was localized. Because when I grew up, I couldn't consume all the HBO stuff because it was not HBO, but you get what I mean. All the international stuff, because physically it wasn't in Indonesia. But now with the internet, it's been so broadened where like I don't know what's happening in Indonesia because I watch the Daily Show every day, which is not wrong. But do you get it? Like I don't know. I feel like. What do you think? Or am I just?
No. I'm trying to phrase it the right way.
Yeah.
So I think the third culture kids nowadays, and I can only speak for those in Indonesia especially, right? Especially if you're 100% Indonesian by blood, you shouldn't be that oblivious to what's happening in your country and to what your culture is about. I'm sorry to say that. And people right now might be watching this and saying, but Cinta, when you started your career, your Indonesian was awful. Yeah, sure. I agree. But I only moved to Indonesia at the age of 11. So up until the age of 11, I wasn't using Indonesian on a daily basis whatsoever.
Right.
Sure, I had the same problems as them from the age of 11 to 17. But then when I returned in 2019, I tried my best. And I could say, but I'm only half Indonesian. But I don't let that be an excuse because it is my responsibility as someone who has Indonesian blood to be able to speak the language, even though it may not be fluent, at least to be able to speak it on a conversational level. And understand to a certain level why Indonesians conduct their lives the way they do without judgment. Gitu.
Right.
Nowadays, whether you're mixed, whether you're fully Indonesian, they're like, I don't know, I only watch TikTok or I read the news from CNN or BBC. It's like there's a sense of elitism whereby they look down upon their own people.
Right.
And I think that's unacceptable. And they try to solve all these world problems, but from a very Western lens, which doesn't work because, again, we're culturally different. There might be some things that we learn abroad that can be utilized here, but, cultural awareness is important to bring about real change.
Right. And don't get me wrong, a lot of international raised Indonesians now are culturally aware, but I'm just saying in general, I feel like there's a shift because of the media that they consume. Right? Like even when I lived in Denmark, the internet wasn't like now, right? Because of the age, not because of Denmark. Because the internet age. So like if I wanted to watch Indonesian stuff, I had to really go for it. I had to really look for it.
But can I say it's not just media though? It's also the parents' fault.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Hot take alert. I love this. Okay, what do you mean? Please
Because
elaborate.
what I've witnessed, you know,
Yeah.
I've dealt with some very young, why I say very young Gen Zs is because, you know, the oldest Gen Z is now 29.
Oh, yeah.
when I talk about,
Do you feel old though?
Damn, yeah.
no, we're Zillennials.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
we're
we're
Zil-
Zillennials.
yeah, yeah, we're okay, we're Zillennials.
We're Zillennials. I truly believe that. Because, anyway, that's for another time.
Yeah.
I believe it's the parents' fault. And I feel bad because it's not because the parents are evil or ignorant, but their parents grew up in an environment where they were taught that anything Western is better than anything that stems from our own country, and therefore, as a kid, when they raise their child, they're more proud when their children can speak English and can adapt in foreign countries because that's a sign of success. Tapi keteteran, you know, it has gone too far because once they hit the age of 13 or 14, then it's harder to mold them. They're already their own person with their own authority to see the world the way they see fit.
Right.
That is interesting. I think for Andovi's question, I think two things that would differentiate like the previous international kids generation than now for me. The first one, I think absolutely about awareness. I think back then they're more disconnected. They're actually more disconnected.
Oh, interesting.
Because I think okay, just an example, right?
Yeah.
I think a couple of days ago I was just talking to in one of like an international school, high school here in Indonesia.
Right.
And I asked them about like political issues here in the country. And about like 50% of them, and they're like grade 10, 11, 12.
Okay, so high school.
About 50% of them are aware.
Okay, that's okay.
That's a great number.
Okay.
I mean, compared to back when I was in high school, nobody knows. Nobody, because talking about political issues, social-political issues is not a thing in social media back then.
You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's another. Yeah, you're right.
But because now it's very much saturated with different types of content, like it's very hard, like Cinta said, for you to not be aware.
I'm biased because of my dad, but
Same.
like
I'm biased because of my mom. Because you're right.
Because you guys came from like a very maybe your parents are politically aware, right?
If my mom, I wouldn't be like this if my mom and dad wasn't like this. So you're right. It's the parents.
So my parents were not very politically aware. So I was completely oblivious, and I know back in high school, none of my friends were talking about politics at all. None of them are aware. Nobody even know who the vice president was.
Didn't you have like MUN?
It was that bad.
Didn't you have MUN, like model of the United Nations?
Yeah, but I didn't go there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. I was a nerdy kid.
Did you guys?
I did MUN.
I didn't, but like we would have to watch our MUN team debate, and so you know.
Yeah, but I mean, we were aware of global issues, yes, but like Indonesian one, no.
Right. I get what you mean. Yes.
So that's the first. The second part, I feel like it's optimism and hope. Like back then, and I mean, this is like young kids in general, I think. Back then, there's so much more hope about the future compared to now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask like a younger person about like the future, you know, back then, the type of movies that we produce about the future is always about like flying cars, cool technology, you know, like
I mean, Terminator is about the end of the world.
right? We have that, but I feel like that's like the minority. That's why it popped off so much. Okay, apa ya? Misalnya back then, I remember kayak there's Meet the Robinson from
Am
Disney.
Legend.
I
love zombie movies.
Zombie movie. Will Smith.
That was good.
So good.
Yeah.
When he killed his dog. Oh my God, it was so sad. Okay.
Yeah.
It's true. And then Tomorrowland.
Okay. No. I get what you're saying.
Like more positive,
Maybe,
happy-go-lucky childhood.
Okay, let's think.
Kill.
No, but I do get where you're
Do you
coming
get
from.
like this?
No, I
but
get
now
it.
when everyone,
Now it's hard. Now all the kids are like, what should we do? I don't know. Will Trump open the Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, exactly.
Like everything is like, when is this World War III gonna happen? Like everyone is also
exactly.
Pros and cons here. On one hand, I really think Gen Zs and I guess alphas, because some Gen alphas are preteens now. For
what? Sorry. How old is the oldest alpha?
2012, 14 this year.
Wow.
That's true.
Yeah, 13 Live. We want to say 2013 is when it starts.
Yeah,
but
Wow.
I really thank them for their courage to speak up. I think they're one of the most vocal generations.
Right.
You know, but on one hand, action speaks louder than words. And I think it's important not to just speak up, but actually do something about it. And I think that's why a lot of people have this negative idea or they perceive Gen Zs and Gen Alphas negatively because they're like, oh, complain terus. Like all you do is complain. All you do is like talk about your discomforts. Oh, you're mentally unstable or like not as strong. These aren't my opinions. Alert, these aren't my opinions. These are just what's being thrown out there. But yeah, I think we need to balance that. And I think that's kind of what's lacking in today's generation. They're really good at talking, but like, let's translate all those ideas and point of views into action.
Right.
So that about action, this is actually very interesting. Everywhere I go, when I speak to like, the young people and things like that, they always ask that, right? People always say, don't just complain, actually do something. But what can we actually do with our limited capacity, right?
Can you give an example in what department? Because like, are you talking about politically, socially? What are you talking?
I feel like they would ask about like anything in general, environmental issues, social issues, political issues, anything.
This is just one way to look at it because there are so many ways to go about this. And this is just one solution of many. But when I do my seminars at various universities, what I always say is start small and find your community. Let's say what you care about is the environment.
Right.
This may sound very mundane, but find a community, find an institution where you can volunteer on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis to, let's say, plant mangrove trees or plog, grab trash on the side of the streets. Sure, this might sound very minute and perhaps not have extremely effective long-term outcomes, but you're doing something.
Yeah.
Or in my case, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a really special place in my heart for East Indonesia, especially Papua. Like, they're just some of the best people in the world. And I think Papua is the most beautiful place in this country.
Right.
And, my focus tends to be on education and children, right? So like, I go out of my way to go there at least once a year. And, in the last couple of months, I've been working really hard with my team and finding ways on how we can like contribute long term. It's really hard to build schools in certain areas in Papua because a lot of the land belonged to indigenous tribes. So in terms of paperwork, it's really hard. So now, I'm trying to navigate around that and see what else I can do. And for now, like my goal is to, do something as simple as bring a water sanitation system and like put it in a village because that's something super small but long term, and not that costly. So start small. Like people always think, oh, to contribute, I need to help hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, but it really isn't like that. Every revolution starts from a small group of people who do something consistently. And even though you feel like you're not contributing now, I really feel like you will see it eventually, though that may take time. So believe in the process.
Right. No, Cinta, this is a personal question. How do you balance all that?
How?
Yeah, because how do you balance all that? Like with your entertainment career, your business career, how? I mean, I know you have your very German schedule and timing. I mean, I know that, but like how?
I'm not saying this is right.
Yeah.
It's definitely not healthy. But a byproduct of my upbringing, that being having to juggle school and my professional life, has led me now in my adulthood to believe that being productive means to give yourself no space to rest, no room to rest. I'm working on that right now. One of my 2026 resolution is to understand
sleep.
that.
Right? Just like, I gotta sleep, guys, right?
No, but this might sound super basic to some people, but I have a rule that I need to have 1 day off a week.
I love that. I love that.
I need to have 1 day off a week.
I'm looking at my manager. One day off.
Popo.
if you saw my schedule back in 2022, 2023, 2024, especially 2022, there was a time where I had literally 0 days off. This isn't hyperbole, 0 days off for 3 months from July 17th to October 22nd. I still remember those dates because it was such an insane time in my life.
What were you doing back then?
I felt on top of the world, but I was going insane. I was turning into a robot, and I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't have a personality. I didn't have a social circle. But work was awesome. And I have this unhealthy obsession in viewing success as productivity. And I don't, which is why I read a book called Life Hacks from the Buddha by Dr. Tony Fernando, because like this is my way of like, you know, centering myself and realizing that what is life if at the end of the day, when you come to the end of your life and reflect upon everything you've done, you can't even say what brought you joy. And I don't think it's work that brings you joy. It's connection. It's the memories you create. It's your family, your dearest friends. And that's something I'm working on right now.
Wow.
So how do I manage all that? Karena I just do. I wake up, work, sleep. Wake up, work, sleep. I lived a robot life from 2021 to 2025.
And that's not counting all your fitness stuff, because you're still very, very fit and like healthy. Like you juggle that in, right? All your workouts.
Yeah.
There was a time in 2024 and 2023, 2024 where I kind of like let that go. But muscle memory. I mean, if you've been doing sports since a young age, because I've been like active since I was 5 years old. You're not going to lose it overnight.
Right.
But that's, you know, the advantage I have because I've always lived a very active life. You know, I was on the varsity team.
Right.
I worked out a lot after I graduated high school. So like stopping for 2 years didn't do too much to me.
Wow.
But now I have to get back into it. Because I stopped for 2 years, I have a patella injury. A patella injury is when your knees kind of shifted because your inner thigh muscle and IT band isn't strong enough to hold your knee together. And that's a byproduct of not doing strength training. So now I'm back into strength training because I realized that strength training is so important to prevent injury. Because I wasn't even doing anything and I suddenly had a patella problem. Because my body was like, hey girl, work out. You need muscle strength.
That's crazy.
Abigail's like,
Great. No, I'm very curious because you said you were like always work, and then you're very, very ambitious, I would say, and motivated. So, and you do a bunch of stuff like Andovi said, right? You're a public figure, you have your entertainment industry, and then you're also an entrepreneur, sociopreneur. What is it that you're chasing after in life, Cinta, that makes you that motivated?
If this question were to be given to me in my teens, I would say, which is sad by the way, but it was also a byproduct of me being bullied. From the age of 12 to 21, I would say what I was chasing was validation, to prove to people that I wasn't just some mixed race kid who got lucky in the industry. And so that's why, you know, I worked very hard academically, I worked very hard professionally, and there was like a lot of rage and disappointment in my heart. But then from the age of, let's say, post-college, 20 to my mid-20s, that was like my healing process when I started to realize that all the anger that had been pent up inside was not serving me and preventing me from actually thinking clearly and being the creative person that I could be. And so when I returned to Indonesia, that's when I realized that being myself, not being scared to speak up, not being scared to be vocal on issues that I care about was actually a plus point and also really appreciated by people. And so I think I found my true purpose in life during the pandemic when I finally came to terms with my past and also realized that with the privilege that I had been born with, I need to ensure that I can alleviate the suffering of others. And so with everything I do, whether it's my businesses, whether it's my career, whether it's, you know, fun things I do like podcasts, my motivation is always to help people shift the way they think and feel about themselves as well as how they view the world. I can only provide people information through my platforms, but it's up to them what they want to make of it. So my sincere hope is honestly just to help young Indonesians think more critically, creatively, and hopefully become great problem solvers to equip them in competing and also thriving domestically and internationally.
Okay. Cinta, I assume, and my assumption it might be completely wrong, that you have been asked multiple times to be in the government.
Yeah.
In which party, in DPR, in Kementerian, Staff Sus. I mean, I'm assuming. I don't know.
Yeah. Udah.
Okay. Udah.
Yeah.
So,
Staff Sus last year, DPR when I
yeah.
came back to Indo.
So I'm not gonna ask the question like, are you gonna do it? No. I'm gonna ask like, because people change. Who knows what happens 5 years from now? But like, if you do get an opportunity to work in the government, if for one reason or another you want to, where? Where?
Interesting.
Is it kementerian apa atau enggak atau DPR atau you want executive atau if you want to?
Yeah.
I'm not saying she does. But I'm saying if she wants to.
If I'm being honest, I know you say if I want to, but if we're talking about with the current conditions right now, absolutely not. I've seen great people being torn apart.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think I could do much more for the people of this country through what I'm doing now as opposed to being part of the government. But in the future, if I suddenly change my mind, because never say never.
Right.
I get people in the comment sections telling me that I should be in the Ministry of Education or Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection.
Okay.
That's what I see people request of me. And it makes sense. It is very quote unquote on brand and sincerely something that I care about.
Right.
But I'm also a very strategic person in that I want to ensure that when I am a part of something, I actually do my part to help move things forward. So in the future, if I end up being interested in joining politics, I'd have to see what this country needs. Because sure, I think there are certain ministries that would require certain expertise.
Right.
But for ministries that don't require you to be like a doctor or a lawyer or any of those things, I'd have to see. Because as long as my as long as I'm able to think clearly and really diagnose the problem and find a reasonable solution, then I wouldn't mind which ministry I'm a part of as long as my contributions will clearly bring about the change that is needed.
Do you look up to anyone specifically? Because we always talk the negative about this country. There's a lot of negatives about this country, especially about our government. But is there anything that you look up to? Anyone in particular? Like for example, I'm gonna go first. Like I've always looked up to Pahok. Right?
I like Pahok a lot.
Is there anyone that you look up to? Like, this person is amazing. Doesn't have to be political. Doesn't have to be political. It can be anyone in Indonesia in particular. Like
you're putting me on the spot. That person definitely exists, but right now I'm blanking out.
It's okay. Because I'm always curious what people who have quote unquote achieved things in life, who they look up to. You know.
Okay, can I tell you who I like internationally, and then some of the people I like domestically, according to like their traits.
Got it.
Internationally, I've always looked up to Margaret Thatcher. She's known as the Iron Lady, and for someone in that time period, she wasn't afraid to go against the norm and speak her truth, and so I really value that. People always say I'm kind of crass, so that's why I like women who are also seen as very tough. Angelina Jolie, because other than the fact that she's extremely beautiful, I really admire the fact that she has a flourishing career, but also a huge heart. You know, she has been with the United Nations for a very long time. So I really admire that about her. And Oprah Winfrey at the peak of her career, because you saw how much influence she had as a woman, not only as a woman, as a black woman. And I think that's so inspiring. In Indonesia, I think there are a lot of fantastic women. Someone who may not get enough credit but is amazing is Dr. Suryani, Professor Suryani. She's someone who helps people around Indonesia, but particularly Bali, with their mental health, because something that's lacking in our society is a lot of underprivileged communities don't know how to deal with people with mental disorders, so they end up chaining them. It's called, in Indonesian, it's called dipasung. They end up chaining them to a tree, in a cage, and that's not how you should treat those with mental disorders, right? So she comes and helps, treats them not just with medication, but also with social support they need. And I think that's so noble of her. There's something to be said about Ibu Susi Pujiastuti. I think her character is just pretty
She's
badass.
Yeah. Oh my God. I said the same
Right.
Jinx. I was like, she's badass. That's the first word that comes to mind.
Yeah, like, you know, I've
Badass.
been to her house in Pangandaran.
Oh, yeah.
And she has like this I don't give an F vibe, you know? It's like, I'm gonna roll up to the beach, surf a little bit, go home, tend to my plants. Like, she's so cool. And her voice, man, it's raspy, but it's like, I'm
she's
here.
badass.
I'm the boss. Gitu.
Okay, interesting.
I
Shout
think,
out.
yeah.
Shout out Dr. Suryani and Ibu Susi, right?
Yeah. So
We should have them on the pod.
We should,
Having Ibu Susi on the pod, I love that.
contrary
We
to
should
what most
actually,
people in this country like, I like women. I like tough women who give people a piece of their mind.
Yeah.
You know, I think and there's nothing wrong. It's just a preference. I see in this country women who tend to be looked up to, they tend to be more princess like, and there's nothing wrong with that. They like soft strength, which is fine. You know, intelligent women who are also beautiful, but you know, more elegant and poised,
Right.
which is fine.
Which is fine.
That's just
Yeah.
a preference. But for me, I'm always about the women who aren't scared to stand out and like be the center of attention.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, I think we want to go into like the
The weeboos.
questions.
The question from the
there
weeboos.
have been very
Okay.
interesting, and I feel like some of the questions relate to what we've been.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe Andovi, you choose from.
Okay, I'll choose.
Just four.
I'll choose.
Baca dulu
this
kan
one,
bisa
this
dikat.
one.
From Tasyar Pratiwi 13.
Okay, yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, from Tasya Pratiwi. Apa budaya di Indonesia yang akhirnya Kak Cinta pahami atau maklumi?
That is
Clearly
very
not
interesting.
being late. Clearly, she will never.
True. Even when I try to be late, I'm on time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember, out of topic, I remember I was to shoot like a year, 2 years ago with you, and I knew I was late.
With Daniel Mananta, right?
So I called immediately. Dude, I'm going to be late. I'm so sorry.
Wait, whose event is this?
I think it's Daniel's
Daniel-
podcast.
yeah.
So you're more scared of Cinta than
Yeah,
Daniel.
I was like, guys, please stop. I'm going to be late. Okay, I'm so sorry, okay? Okay, I'm so sorry.
Did you call Daniel too?
I forgot, but I told her I was going to be late.
It would be so funny if you didn't call Daniel and then you're just like, Cinta, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And I was like, because it was late at night, right?
It was sudden. It was a sudden podcast.
It
remember?
was.
Did you judge Andovi
Yeah,
back
she
then?
was.
No,
like-
no.
she was like,
He's
Andovi.
good vibes.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so to answer this question, should I answer it in English or in Indonesian?
Up to you.
I don't know. How do you guys usually do this?
Usually in
Questions
English.
in English.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Throughout my life, I've always been under the impression that when I give someone constructive feedback, even when it hurts, it's okay as long as it's founded upon objectivity. You know, like for example, let's say you're my staff,
Yeah.
and like I'm unhappy with what you did. It's okay for me to be like, hey, Andovi, like. This is the mistake you made. It's not okay because blah, 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 blah. In the future, could you please blah, 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 blah. That makes sense, right? Like I'm being professional.
Yeah.
But something that I learned here, which I'm starting to understand now because I'm trying to practice more kindness and compassion, thanks to the Buddha, is when you give people criticism, you have to be really gentle. If you, again, using the same example, I'd be like, hey, Andovi, I'd like to talk to you about something. And then start with something positive. Like, you know, you've been doing really great in this department. I really appreciate it. But look, what happened yesterday is not okay because blah, blah, blah. And it could affect my company or like my image because... So the reasoning's still there, but it's a lot gentler.
Right.
You know, I don't know what it is about our culture that makes people less receptive when you're hard on them. But it's okay because at the end of the day, there's also no point in being mean, you know? Even though we see it as just being professional or being tough love, I'm learning more and more. There's nothing wrong with communicating things with kindness. And if they still don't get it, then yaudah, just SPK or something. But at least I've done my part in trying to communicate my thoughts in the best way possible. So that's something that I've learned. It's still really hard because sometimes when I'm so pissed, I'm like, I just want to punch this person. But then I'm like, you know, if this person resigns tomorrow, then, you know, this could result in something much worse. So let me just breathe.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable now, but it'll be better for the future. And it'll prevent that person as well from twisting the truth and creating another lie. Like, I don't know, Cinta punched a mirror in front of everyone.
Nice.
Right. Okay. Next question.
Next question. Okay.
From, let's do
This one. This one's interesting.
Anggia Nova, silakan.
Okay. Anggia Nova. Hi Cinta, I'm curious, is there a book you've been rereading or carrying around recently? If so, which book is that and what keeps drawing you back? And also, what's your favorite book of all time?
She's putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
Anggia Nova, you're putting Cinta on the spot here. Favorite book of all time, and what book are you rereading? I mean, the Buddha book.
Yeah, Life Hacks from the Buddha by Tony Fernando, Dr. Tony Fernando. He's a psychiatrist that looks at it from a scientific perspective. Okay. That's why it makes sense to me, because if it's too like woo woo, I'm also gonna be like,
Okay.
Something that I'm reading right now is How to Talk to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell.
Oh, I've heard about that.
I know it's a classic, but it's mind blowing.
Yeah,
I feel like we need another podcast just to talk about that book.
Have you read it?
Malcolm Gladwell is a G.
Yeah.
He's a G. The G is for Gladwell. He's so good. And I love his hair. Out of topic, but I love his hair.
But yeah, I feel
Agree.
We would need another hour because I'm learning so much from that book. It's a 377 page book, if I'm not mistaken. I'm on page 280, so I'm almost done. I could probably be done by tomorrow. But it really makes you question the justice system. It makes you question intelligence institutions. It makes you question human beings as a whole, because again, I can't get into it because it'll take too long, but as human beings, we tend to default to the truth, and there's nothing wrong with that. When we meet people, we don't immediately assume that they're lying, because in defaulting to truth, we allow for ease of communication. We allow for society to run better. We allow for friendships or relationships to be made. But then this becomes very dangerous when we talk about, let's say, victims of sexual abuse, people who are indicted, or people who are said to be guilty for a certain crime. You know, again, I can't get into it, but it's so interesting. It will change the way you see the world. So we'll read that. But I think my favorite book of all time.
Yeah. That's a very difficult question.
That is a very difficult question. I can say my favorite author of all time.
Oh, I like that.
Danielle Steele. Danielle Steele is an
What's his
award-winning author. She writes fiction, novels.
Okay.
And I can read her book in like 2 days and finish it. Her novels, because they're, for me, I think it's not chick flicky. I wouldn't say it's chick flicky.
What's her novel?
A lot. Adultery, The Apartment.
Okay.
Kok tiba-tiba lupa ya? She has many books that I've read, but basically, you know, she uses very simple characters and describes or tells a story of very like average day-to-day activities that these characters undertake. But no matter what phase in your life you're in, whether you're a teenager, a young adult, or like a senior citizen, you can just relate to her characters and learn something from them. You know, you start to value the simplicity of life and the importance of relationships. And I don't know, there's just a lot of wisdom to her books, in my opinion. So if you want to read something fiction, read Danielle Steele.
That's so interesting. You know, like a lot of people I think there's a lot of people who have like this perception that reading fiction is somewhat less than nonfiction.
No, that's not true. Yeah.
I disagree. That's not me.
But
I disagree.
I get what you mean.
There's an air to it that sometimes people gravitate towards. So it's really cool to hear that your favorite author is actually a fiction.
Yeah. I definitely don't see it that way. So I'm proud to say I'm a fiction reader.
No, me too. I love fiction.
Yeah.
Andovi too, right?
I love it, especially the Twilight series. No, I'm not kidding. I used to love those. I'm not kidding, but we talked about. Never mind. Okay, let's go.
Andovi,
One more thing. If you want a piece,
Twilight.
if you want a peace of mind, read a book by Heyman Sunim. It's called When Things Don't Go Your Way.
I love that
When
book.
things don't go your way.
I love that book.
I think in the anxious society we live in
really good.
nowadays, especially with the youth experiencing a lot of like mental health issues,
Right.
this book is something that this book is it's a very good read.
No, I echo that. I actually read it. It's so good. It's really good. It's really
And
good.
if you guys are lazy to read, I talked about it in a podcast, but I don't know if I can promote it here with our friend Kania.
No problem with it. Wait, what?
Yeah. So I did a
Where?
podcast with Kania and Ferry Irwandi, I think a
In
year and a half
Malacca.
ago. Yeah.
Okay,
And I talked
yeah.
about this book.
No, we should record also in Malacca.
And Malacca books.
To
Okay.
talk about just
And
books.
talk about Daniel Steele because you're gonna talk about. You're gonna talk
no,
about
last
that.
time Andovi was in Malacca Books, we talked about Twilight
Yeah,
for
I know.
like a
Listen,
good
I know. Listen.
40 minutes.
Team Jacob.
Me too.
Right?
I read to Twilight. Yeah.
Thank you. Don't judge it.
Yeah, I'm Team Jacob for sure.
I'm Team
Again,
Jacob.
I'm also more into badass men. I don't really like pretty boys.
Team Jacob. I mean, it helps that he has very chiseled abs. Okay, no, let's not talk about Jacob's
It's
abs.
High
Okay.
Rocks Inspo.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So funny. Oh my god.
Okay.
Wait, I want this.
Okay.
This is really good. Okay. Ardi Masku.
Okay.
What breaks your heart the most about Indonesia and what gives you the most hope?
What breaks my heart the most about this country is we often preach the values of gotong royong or working together or being there for one another. But in truth is we witness a huge amount of greed in this country, proven through the trillions of rupiah that has been corrupted by different parties. When I say parties, I don't mean like political party, like different individuals or groups of
political
individuals.
parties. I'm saying
And
it. Tina's saying it. I'm saying it. Okay.
And they're just desensitized to the poverty around them.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing to me. And I don't want to repeat the same story that I talked about like a couple of days ago on a different platform. But let me just say, there are people in this country that don't even have access to clean water, don't have the privilege to turn the tap and wash their hands or wash their faces or shower or, use clean water to cook. A lot of the people in our country in certain areas, for example, Papua, are already so grateful and happy when they can eat burnt sago, which tastes like powder. But for them, it's like, I can eat today and this burnt sago is delicious because it's all that I can eat and I'm starving, but I'm happy. And, props to them because, they show us that living simplistically and being grateful for what you have allows you to be happy. You don't need much to be happy. And yet here we are. Indonesia has one of the highest rates of food waste.
Yeah.
And yet millions of people in our country are hungry.
Right.
Like, how can you just be oblivious to this, If we could only disperse all this wealth in the right direction, I feel like we can see tremendous change in our country. And so what breaks my heart the most is that we claim to be people of faith. We claim to be caring of one another. We claim to be compassionate. But the truth is, ego, greed, and sin is everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And what gives you the most hope?
Yeah.
What gives me the most hope?
Gibran
Wow.
gives me the most hope in this country.
I think Indonesia.
Somebody clip that.
Please.
Please.
Clip it.
What gives me most hope is that I truly believe that Indonesians are innately very kind and loving people. Innately, yeah.
Innately, yeah.
Because and how do I know this? When I go to underprivileged communities that haven't really been touched by modernization, you see how they truly have open arms to those who visit them, how hospitable they are, how they're full of smiles and excitement.
Yeah.
People only become bitter once they realize they've been exploited.
Bars. Dude, that was a bar. I've never heard that. People only become bitter once they realize they've been exploited. Oh shit.
I do have a
I want
question.
to steal that and say it.
Okay. But it is interesting though, like what you mentioned about like what breaks your heart the most and what gives you most hope are both about Indonesians. But it seems to be like a two sides of Indonesian. On the one hand, you say that Indonesian, we have a lot of greed that causes a lot of like inequality and things that you mentioned. But at the same time, it is also the compassion and the kindness of the people. Do you think that the former is just a problem of a small groups of elites that are like that? Or is there like a cultural, because you know what I mean, right? I mean, those elites come from the people also.
Unfortunately, I think they're becoming more prevalent and it's becoming embedded in the culture. Because take the most populated parts of Java, for example, or the most developed. They have some of the most unkind and greedy people in the country. Whereas if you go sometimes to the poorest areas, they're actually the kindest and the most giving and the most humble.
Okay.
So I think that's why people like us, people like the weeboos watching, people with the awareness that we have, this is where we have to flip the switch, so to speak, and not trying to self-promote, but I just wanted to give a concrete example. I have a foundation, Cinta Laura Foundation, but one of our pillars is called Act of Love, because we believe that everything we do needs to be rooted in love. And as cheesy as that sounds, why we're becoming such an unhappy society is because we're constantly trying to trigger hate between people. Hate because we have different faiths, hate because we have different races, hate because of all the differences that exist. So we need to combat this with love. And like, how do you teach love? You can't necessarily teach love, but you can take action in a way that makes people feel like they're heard, that makes people feel like they're taken care of, and that makes people feel like, you know, there is hope for their future to change or get better.
I'm going to use that line, by the way. That people become bitter once I've never heard of that.
Do you agree with that?
I've completely. You become bitter once you realize
that you've been exploited.
And that's to everything. Not just, that's also in love. Because once you're in love,
you become toxic once you've been mistreated.
That feels a bit personal.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I think the last question, though, you can read it.
Okay, got it. From
I like that
underscore, it's a long underscore. Deandra,
yes.
You often speak about education and empowering young Indonesians. What's one mindset shift you think our generation needs to truly compete globally? We're going to compete with the Chinese because I went to China recently. Oh my God.
Yes.
We are 20,000 years, 50 years, like ketinggalan, sumpah.
Yeah. No, they're
China
amazing.
is insane.
Gila banget emang.
But our food's way better. I'm saying. Okay.
I'm glad you brought up the China example because I was going to almost go with a different answer.
Ooh, okay.
I think because of what I witness when I am in these isolated regions, I was about to say, I want the mindset shift that needs to take place is for Indonesians as a whole, not just young Indonesians, to realize that they have the right to be where they are. They have the right to be in a certain room. They shouldn't see themselves as less than. Or the Indonesian word for it is minder. You know, I think minder, or the feeling of being less than, is very prevalent in our society, and that's what prevents us from taking risks and growing in the direction that we can grow into. But because you also mentioned that China example, my second answer would also be discipline. You know, discipline is so important, to not always spoon feed or baby people into not always spoon feeding or babying people to prevent them from feeling discomfort, because the only way you can grow is through discomfort. Simple example. Have you noticed? Okay, maybe we can also look at it from a positive way, like, oh, like women are treated in a more gentle way. But sometimes, let's talk about a basketball.
Yeah, right.
A lot of men sometimes, when they pass a ball to me, they're like, because
I see.
Because they're scared the woman will get injured. But it's also because maybe in school, women tend to not be pushed as much during physical education.
Right,
Makes sense. It's
makes
not
sense.
because they're like, oh, you're weak, but like they're just very
Yeah.
careful because, kalau jatuh, if someone falls, they're like, ow. Whereas for me, this is the other side of the extreme, okay?
Yeah.
I was on the varsity track team in high school and I ran 100 meters, 200 meters, 4x100 and high jump. I had a really, really, really bad shin splint to the point where when I was doing my 200-meter race, I tripped during the run, but I didn't come in last. I still came in third. Even though I was injured. But the point of the story is, from what I've witnessed in Indonesia, in that case, they might be like, oh, don't force it. It's okay, you're injured, just sit down. If you're in pain, it's okay, cry. If my coach saw me cry, he would be like, what is wrong with you? Stand back up, keep going. Right. Even when I had to walk it with crutches during the awarding ceremony, is like, leave your crutch behind, make sure you're wearing shoes on both feet, and go up on stage and act like everything's okay. Again, that's the extreme point. But my point is, I have been disciplined to not acknowledge pain and to keep pushing even when things are really uncomfortable. And again, that's why I'm here today, despite everything I've experienced in life, despite, all the setbacks, all the negativity that I've experienced. Why am I still here today? Because at a young age, I had been taught to always continue to persevere and move forward regardless of how much pain I'm in physically, emotionally, or mentally.
It reminds me of the quote that says, like, people become what is expected of them.
Oh, yeah, I heard
that. Sometimes when people, nobody has any expectation towards them, they just become, nothing. They become mediocre and they settle for that. But once, like, somebody is expecting greatness from them, sometimes people become what is expected of them. That totally reminds me of that.
Perdana nih, this is the first time I'm doing it on camera. I used to play basketball as well. I was on the varsity team, but I've yet to be invited by
so
Andovi.
I have to invite. All this basketball talk? No, I have to invite.
The more she talks about basketball, it becomes worse, right? What you did.
So I think it was 10th grade. I was getting the rebound and I jammed my finger. This is permanent.
Oh, so you have jammed it's a pinky.
I'm not double jointed. This is from the ball. I remember my mom saying, Cinta, please don't play basketball anymore. You're going to look ugly. Like, during photo shoots, your finger's going to look horrendous and disgusting. It's okay. Mama Indonesia. But I kept playing. I'm like, you know what? I don't care if this gets worse because there is a chance that this could get worse. If it keeps getting jammed, it's only going to get worse. But I just kept playing even though it was painful at times because I'm like, no, I'm good at basketball. I enjoy the game. I feel good when I'm with my team and practicing, playing against other teams. So I'm going to keep going. I didn't let the pain, I didn't let other people's perception affect my desire to continue pursuing the sport that I loved. And still love.
Right. Cliff, next double screen pickup game. Now, ini harus ya. Ingetin gue invite Cinta, okay? Ingetin gue next double screen.
Later, if he doesn't invite you, we're gonna clip this part. And be like, Andovi, we got you on tape.
Okay, anyway, so before we leave, Abigail does not know this.
Okay.
I've prepared a mini game show for you.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
All right.
The game show is called Germany or Indonesia. Yay! So I'm gonna give you two choices because you're mixed, you're half-half. I'm gonna give you two choices, random things. You just choose which one.
Oh.
Right?
Oh.
That's it.
If I were to create an example, like food, for example.
And that was my first one. That was my first one. I'm giving you a layup, okay?
Okay.
So the first one, German food or Indonesian food?
Indonesian food.
That was a layup.
That was an easy one. That was easy.
Okay.
All right.
German weather or Indonesian weather?
Wow, Indonesian weather, of course.
Hey, see, I'm giving you. See, Indonesia, yeah. Now it's gonna get a bit tougher.
Okay.
If you only had to choose one, okay, German punctuality or Indonesian sopan santun.
Wow.
You have to only choose
That's
one.
tough because you can be punctual and an asshole, right?
German punctuality or Indonesian sopan santun. It's okay. Be honest. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, in my personal life, of course, it'd be sopan santun, but like in my professional life, German punctuality. So
You
even
need
if
to
you're
choose
rude,
one.
it's fine.
Right?
Yeah,
Choose
so
one.
punctuality.
Choose one.
If everybody was
Okay.
punctual, I'd be so
Okay.
happy.
Ding, 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 ding.
Okay.
Now, I only prepared 3.
Only 3?
No, I got more. It's in my
Okay.
brain. It's in my
Okay,
brain.
okay.
Okay, are you ready? Okay, I'm gonna give one for Germany. Okay, German technology or Indonesian technology?
Of course, German technology.
That's not fair.
Okay, now I'm gonna give
Although
you.
things are getting worse in Germany.
Oh wow. That was it.
Indonesia's not the only country with problems.
Okay, this one might be tricky because I'm speaking in general.
Okay.
German politics or Indonesian politics?
Yeah.
I'm talking in. I'm not.
In general.
I'm not talking about a specific leader in 1945. I'm not talking about. I'm talking in general. German politics or Indonesian
But in
politics?
general, encompasses
Yeah.
that guy though.
Oh yeah.
Oh no!
Then you can't choose German.
No, in general, in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the last 40 years. In the last 40 years. I'm not gonna go all the way.
That's too.
That's okay.
Germany's going through a tough time right now as well. You know, people are very unhappy. A lot of Germans want to move out of the country. Like we are not in a good place. But if we're talking about, I guess, corruption and also where budgets are being allocated, although Germany also has a problem with it. At least for now, Germany's still better.
Okay. Now this is a what if. If Indonesia is in the football World Cup, if we all know Germans have won 4 times,
Yeah.
you already have to choose one for Germany to win the
Who
World
will you
Cup.
support?
Oh, this is gonna be clipped so hard by all the
Okay.
football fans. Germany win the World Cup or Indonesia win the World Cup?
Indonesia, because Germany already won 4 times.
She knows that's the same answer because you know.
Yeah.
But you would totally go for Germany this World Cup, right? Every
Of
World
course,
Cup.
but
every
Germany
World Cup.
hasn't been good in the last 13 years.
Yeah. So, because if Indonesia, I always
Well-
ask this to people who are mixed.
Yeah.
All of them say the same thing. Of course, Indonesia, because they do want to see if
Yeah,
Indonesia
yeah,
makes it to the
yeah,
World
yeah.
Cup. Yeah. So that's it.
Damn.
Do you have any more Germany or Indonesia?
No.
No.
That was an impromptu game show that I just.
There was actually a question on your list that I liked.
Oh, which one? Oh no, it's okay. Which
No,
one?
on this list.
That one.
Oh, which
So,
one? Which one?
I'm going to ask both of you.
Okay.
What language do you guys dream in?
Oh.
That's English.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mix. Sometimes it depends on what type of dream for me. Usually, like if it's like an angry dream that I'm just like being pissed off, and it's in English.
Okay.
What
But
about
if it's like a chill dream where I'm just like randomly riding a horse in the middle, it's sometimes in Indonesian. I don't know. But mostly in English though.
I will answer that question shortly, but there's a reason why I really liked this question on the list. Do you guys feel like your English has gotten better over time? Has it remained consistent, or has it deteriorated since returning from your respective countries abroad?
Well, that's hard.
I think it's gone worse for me.
It's gone worse for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Gone worse for me.
So I'm glad that I'm not alone, because my mother tongue, so to speak, is English, right? I'm
Right,
proficient
right,
in the
right.
English language, and I do believe that I'm a native speaker. But ever since returning to Indonesia in 2019 and now speaking Indonesian so often, because now I don't have that international school bubble anymore, I feel like it has deteriorated, and I'm
Yep.
scared for myself. And this is why I'm starting to read profusely again.
Me too.
Because for me, it makes absolutely no sense that there are times where I go blank. I mean, it happened during this podcast too, where I just can't find the word because I'm so used to mixing the two languages.
Yeah.
And so, it makes me wonder, can it also happen to native speakers? Because for you guys, I'm guessing you guys kind of like spoke Indonesian and English equally at
Equal,
home
yeah.
growing up. Whereas for
Yeah.
me, it was English at school and then eventually also English at home.
Yeah.
Because I have another friend who's actually fully Indonesian, but was born and raised in America, came to Indonesia for the first time and finally started living here starting from the age of 27. So he was a fully grown adult when he moved to Indonesia. But because he was surrounded by these entertainment people, over time I noticed that he started speaking actually somehow Singlish. I don't know why he started speaking Singlish.
Okay.
And at the time I didn't have a social filter yet. I had just come back from the US, so I was still quite blatant about my opinions.
Right.
And I said, dude, your English sucks. I'm like, are you are you making this up or
Uncle, one or chat lot, uncle. I'm very bad.
I'm like, are you making this up or do you actually speak like this? He's like, what do you mean? Like, my English has gotten worse? I'm like, dude, yeah. So I'm scared I'm gonna get to that point. I'm glad I'm doing this podcast, but at the same time, I don't know. How do you guys feel? Since returning to Indonesia, do you think your English has deteriorated? For me, I feel like it has, just because I'm mixing the language so much. And like a lot of the things that I want to accomplish in this country requires me to speak Indonesian, because remember, communication is key.
You're right. You know, you got me thinking, actually. But when I swear, I go Indonesian.
Okay.
My default swearing mode, bad words, is Indonesian, not even English.
Really?
Yeah, when I think of anjing, that's my first. Right?
Yeah.
Do you guys swear? I go Indonesian. That's my first default swearing.
I don't think she swears. She's such an angel.
No. Do you swear in English first or Indonesian first?
No, again, it depends, right? Sometimes you swear in a joking sense. Sometimes you swear like when you're angry. I feel like I always default into English when I'm angry.
I'm angry in English, but I swear in Indonesian. That's very.
But you know, sometimes swearing like casually, like gila jir ini begini, that goes in Indonesian.
Without,
I definitely swear in English. But today, before you came into the room, I told Abigail that her next book should be called Mikir Jing.
And I said, that is a terrible business advice.
One of the best ideas I've ever heard. Mikir Jing. Everyone's gonna be like, iya anjing.
Lu promosiin gitu ya.
Promosiin apa? Oh, mikir
Promosiin,
anjing. Bukunya.
Kan udah sekali kasih tahu.
Makanya mikir.
Makanya mikir. Masih nggak dengerin, ya udah mikir jing.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll ask Kanye and see what she thinks. She'll be like, are you sure that comes from Cinta?
And we're not using the A, just N-J-I-N-G.
So it's softer.
It's
You could
softer.
be like, it's Chinese.
Yeah, well,
Jing.
that's somehow even worse. Okay, thank you Cinta. Thank you so much. Thank you.
See you.
Terima kasih. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
There you go.
Tschüss.